She said she needed space.
Yeah.
Called him controlling.
She messaged me saying she needed some time away to feel free again. I thought about it for a moment, and then I typed back. I told her that freedom feels a lot safer when trust is still alive between two people. Her reply came quickly. She said I was suffocating her without even realizing it. My heart sank a little, but I knew I had to be honest. I answered that love, real love, should never feel like a cage. She then typed that she wanted space, but a specific kind of space, one without questions or rules. I read that, and a little warning bell went off in my head. I told her that space without honesty usually just hides something painful. That's why she accused me of always assuming the worst in her. It stung, but I stood my ground. I replied that patterns, the things we see over and over, teach lessons that are louder than any promise. She told me I was ruining everything by overthinking. I couldn't agree. I answered that thinking, really thinking things through, is what protects hearts from breaking in the first place. Then she got more specific. She told me she wanted nights out without having to check in. A direct question formed in my mind, one I had to ask. I asked her if someone else would be there instead of me on those nights. She completely avoided the question, changing the subject so fast it was dizzying. At that point, I decided to just stay quiet. I let the silence hang in the air between us, believing that sometimes truth needs stillness to surface on its own. Of course, she interpreted my silence differently. She said it proved I didn't trust her anymore. I replied calmly that silence often listens much better than arguing ever could. She then claimed I never supported her independence. I had to correct that. I said that being independent doesn't erase the commitment we made to each other. That's when she dropped the bombshell. She typed that she needed a break. From our marriage? My fingers hovered over the keyboard as I thought about what that really meant. I answered that breaks, more often than not, become quiet exits. She tried to reassure me, saying it would only be temporary and completely harmless, but I knew better. I replied that temporary choices can cause permanent, irreversible damage. She accused me of trying to threaten her with fear. I explained that fear isn't something I was creating. Fear grows naturally all by itself when honesty disappears from a relationship. Why can't you just let me go for a while? She asked. The question hung there, heavy with implication. I answered that letting someone go without knowing the full truth feels exactly like betrayal. She called me dramatic and emotional. I took a deep breath and replied that just because my words were calm, it didn't mean my feelings were weak. Then came her expectation. She told me she expected me to wait patiently for her. That was a line I couldn't cross. I answered that waiting for someone without respect is how you lose your dignity, piece by piece. And then, finally, it came. The truth. She admitted there was someone else, someone she wanted to explore feelings with. A strange sense of relief washed over me. I thanked her for finally speaking clearly. She quickly added that she never planned to hurt me. I had to be honest about that too. I replied that intentions, no matter how good, don't erase the consequences of our actions. She asked if I was angry with her. I told her the truth. Any anger I felt had already faded and turned into clarity. She then said something that surprised me. She thought I would fight harder for us. I paused before replying, choosing my words carefully. I told her that sometimes choosing self-respect looks a lot like surrender from the outside. She accused me of giving up too easily. I had to defend my journey. I said I stayed long after the truth had disappeared from our home. So what happens to us now? She asked. I told her that choices, the ones we make every day, always decide the endings, usually very quietly. She admitted she was suddenly scared. I replied that fear always follows closely behind dishonesty. It's a natural shadow. She begged me not to rush into any decisions. I told her that clarity doesn't rush, but it also doesn't hesitate. It just is. Then she asked the question I was dreading. Do you still love me? I had to be truthful, even if it hurt. I answered that love needs safety to survive. It can't live in a place of uncertainty and fear. She said she felt empty without my reassurance. I replied that reassurance can't be a replacement for trust. Once trust is gone, no amount of comforting words can rebuild it. Will you forgive me someday? She asked. I told her that forgiveness is a process and it only begins after the healing starts. She said she never expected this outcome. I replied that outcomes are not random. They follow choices as naturally as night follows day. She then accused me of choosing my pride over our love. I corrected her gently. I said it wasn't pride. It was dignity, and dignity is what protects love from being completely destroyed. She wished we could go back in time. I knew that was impossible. I replied that forward is the only honest direction we have. After that, she grew quiet and stopped typing for a long time. I didn't try to fill the silence, I just let it be. Eventually, a new message appeared. "I'm sorry for everything," she wrote. I accepted her apology without trying to reopen old wounds or rehash the pain. Her next question was simple. "Is this really the end?" I answered that endings always arrive when the truth finally decides to speak. She said she would miss me deeply. I replied that missing is what comes after loss. It's part of the process. She asked if we could stay connected somehow, as friends. I knew what I needed for my own healing. I told her that distance is what helps wounds close properly. She sent one final message, wishing me peace. I replied in kind, wishing her growth and honesty on her path forward. And then I closed the chat. I didn't block her number or delete the conversation, I just closed it. I looked around the room, and for the first time in months, it felt lighter. An enormous weight had been lifted. And in that quiet moment, I realized that freedom belonged to me too. Not freedom from love, but the incredible, liberating freedom from lies. Our story ended not with shouting or a desire for revenge, but with quiet clarity and the rediscovery of my own self-respect.